If you've ever watched The Terror, you probably know about the scene where Mr. Blanky talks to James Fitzjames about the walkout on Fury Beach.
Once
And
just
while we will
past
be
all
looking
hope,
at the
the
John
mind
Ross
goes
expedition in which Mr. Blanky was part of,
unnatural
we will
with
be talking
things.
about the wreck that Fury Beach is named after, that being HMS Fury from the 3rd Perry expedition. But first, I think it's only necessary we talk a little bit about the man who would command this expedition, and that is Sir William Edward Parry. Sir William Edward Parry was born on December 19th, 1790 in Bath, England, to Caleb Hiller Parry and Sarah Rigby. Sir William Edward Parry was educated at the Bath Grammar School. William Parry would join the Royal Navy on the 30th of June 1803 at the age of 13. Parry would be rated midshipman that same year, and during the Napoleonic Wars, Parry would serve aboard multiple ships in the English Channel and Baltic Sea. During the War of 1812, Parry would be stationed aboard HMS Hogue and participate in the destruction of 27 American vessels in the Connecticut River. Parry also prepared a guide on nautical astronomy to the officers in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Parry would return to England in early 1817. Parry applied and was granted an assignment to one of the Admiralty's 2 expeditions to try to find the Northwest Passage. The second Secretary of the Admiralty, Sir John Barrow, decided to make Parry second in command, with Sir John Ross leading this expedition. Parry was given this position due to his scientific talent and his recommendations within the Navy. The 2 ships that would command this expedition would be the Isabella and the Alexander. And the Isabella and the Alexander were supposed to force the passage from the Atlantic to the Pacific through the Davis Strait and Baffin Island. The 2 ships would leave London on April 18th, 1818. The 2 ships would shortly stop at the Shetland Islands before going west on May 3rd. By the end of the month, the ships reached the Davis Strait and encountered ice floes, then followed the western coast of Greenland. The 2 ships made it as far as a place called Smith Sound. On August 19th, John Ross would name the 2 capes on both sides of the sound after his 2 ships, Cape Isabella, Cape Ellesmere, and Cape Alexander in Greenland. Having concluded that the north end of Smith Sound was enclosed by land, John Ross decided to go southwest towards Jones Sound, where he again mistakenly thought he sighted land at the bottom of the inlet. Further south, the ships reached the entrance of Lancaster Sound, where it was found to be free of ice, and on August 31st, the 2 ships proceeded west into it. As often during the voyage, the Alexander lagged behind the Isabella at a very considerable distance. However, during this part of the voyage, Sir John Ross mistakenly thought a bunch of clouds were mountains and named them after the first Secretary of the Admiralty, John Wilson Croker. And after this, John Ross went to explore Baffin Island. Parry, not having seen these mountains, was disappointed by his commander's decision, and was still convinced of a way to reach the passage through Lancaster Sound. The expedition decided to return to London to avoid wintering in the Arctic. Both Ross and Parry made it known about their disagreement about the existence of the Croker Mountains, and Sir John Barrow criticized Ross's decision to turn back. Parry would participate in another expedition to Lancaster Sound, and that would find some success. And since the Admiralty was encouraged by that expedition, they decided to let Parry command a 3rd expedition. Little did anyone know, but the Fury's 2nd Arctic expedition would be her last. But before all that, I should give you the specifications of both Helka and Fury. HMS Fury was built in Kent, England, and HMS Helka was built in Hessel, in Hull, England. Both ships had a length of 105 feet, a beam of 28 feet, and a depth of hold of 13 feet. HMS Fury was one of 8 Helka-class bomb vessels. HMS Helka HMS Fury, HMS Infernal, HMS Meteor, HMS Atna, HMS Erebus, which is famous for being a part of the Franklin expedition, and the Clark Ross expeditions, HMS Sulphur, and HMS Thunder, plus 4 other ships that were not completed. HMS Fury would serve at the bombardment of the Algars on August 27th under the command of Constantine Richard Morsum. Later in 1820, HMS Fury was converted into an Arctic explorer and re-rated as a sloop. Since Fury was a bomb vessel, the Admiralty thought the ship was sturdy enough to withstand the pressure of the Arctic ice, plus a little bit extra reinforcing due to that refit. Okay, now that that is out of the way, we can talk about Parry's 3rd expedition and the final expedition of the Fury. Helka and Fury left England on the 8th of May, 1824. Parry would captain Helka and command the overall expedition, while Fury would be commanded by one Lieutenant Harry Parkins Hopner. Both ships were stocked with 3 years' worth of the new invention of tinned pork, beef, and mixed vegetables. Other foods included in this expedition were salt, salted meats, hardtack, and grains. Helka and Fury briefly stopped at the Whalefish Islands on the western side of Greenland on June 26, 1824. Helka and Fury would then push west into the pack ice of Baffin Island and would end up getting stuck there until September 9th due to that season's ice being exceptionally bad. The next day, on September 10th, the 2 ships reached Lancaster Sound. They passed through the Barrow Strait into Prince Regent Inlet. Light ice allowed both ships to make swift southward progress along the western shore. Young ice formations and gales kept besetting the ships and forced them to make eastward retreats. On September 29th, Helka and Fury reached Port Bowen, a small basin sheltered by grounded icebergs. The 2 ships would end up overwintering here. During the winter of 1824 to 1825, the crew had costumes for putting on plays or costume balls. This was necessary as it would improve crew morale, as both crews would spend months on a cramped ship and would also spend months without any sunlight. There were also educational programs for the crews, and it should be noted that this expedition had the invention of Sylvester's warming stove that gave all cabins heating and ventilation. The crew also took scientific observations. In the spring of 1825, the expedition continued its southwest progress through Prince Regent Inlet. Both ships continually tried moving around the fragmented ice. Ice pressures and gales kept entrapping the ships and kept driving the ships toward the shoreline. Fury would sustain initial damage near the mouth of the inlet from ice impacts as early as July of 1825. Fury kept getting leaks that needed constant pumping in order to stay afloat. Through July and August of 1825, these leaks got worse. Thickening pack ice and deteriorating weather caused the ships to endure even more battering. Even with all of these issues, the crew of Fury and Helka continued with their scientific efforts. The crew mapped Prince Regent Inlet and did some geomagnetic readings that helped find the Arctic's magnetic pole. On the 21st of August, 1825, HMS Fury was driven ashore by a gale at a location known as Fury Point on Somerset Island. Attempts were made to refloat and repair the ship, but they all failed. The crew salvaged provisions like 3 of the ship's boats, tinned food, and ammunition. These supplies would be stored in tents and cairns on the beach. On August 25, 1825, Parry ordered the abandonment of HMS Fury at 7230 North, 9230 West, and all of the Fury's company was transferred to HMS Hecla. HMS Hecla. All of the 126 men survived the expedition, including one Francis Rawdon Morroy Crozier, who would end up being one of the leading officers of the ill-fated Franklin expedition years later in 1845. Later, in the 1829 to 1833 expedition, Sir John Ross would survive off of the Fury's old supplies. Ross and his men would build the Somerset House and later escape on the remaining free boats of the Fury. The expedition would make it to Lancaster Sound, where they would get picked up by the whaling ship Isabella. This is the expedition that Mr. Blanky mentions to Fitzjames in The Terror. In 1956, the anchors of HMS Fury were recovered by T.C. Pullen, and after a lot of changing locations, the anchors would finally be displayed at the College Militaire de Saint-Jean, and the anchors still sit there today. William Perry's expeditions are very fascinating, and I am sure that we will mention one of those expeditions, at least as a passing mention in a future video. But that is all I have for today's episode. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe, as it helps out a ton and it is free. And until next time, have a great day.